Hi there, welcome to this mini lecture. Unlike reading novels or short stories, reading for academic purposes can sometimes be frustrating. Reading is likely to take up a vast proportion of the time you devote to your university work. However, many students find it hard to improve the way that they read. This mini lecture will introduce different purposes of academic reading and accordingly different strategies which may help you find a way to improve your reading in different phases, especially to improve reading competence for academic purposes. Reading as a skill is normally linked with writing. This is a fundamental characteristic of academic activities. Students typically read books and journal articles, make notes while reading, summarize, paraphrase, and then write essays. Also, many reading comprehension practices may focus on diverse reading strategies, but the resultant exercises usually involve the same task, writing. Reading for academic purposes is a multifaceted subject. However, there is one fundamental aspect which can be the starting point for other considerations. That is, all reading starts with a purpose. Clearly, students can have different purposes in their reading, which may include to get general comprehension, to obtain information, for instance, facts and data, to understand ideas or theories, to discover authors' viewpoints, to critique an argument, to seek evidence in support of their own point of view, or to quote what may be needed for writing their own essays. In the process of reading, students will be concerned with the subject matter of what they read and the language with which it is expressed. Both aspects involve comprehension, though of different kinds. To read quickly and effectively, you have to apply different skills and strategies in different phases of reading. Before reading, here are some steps to take. Establish your purpose for reading. Speculate about the author's purpose for writing. Review what you already know and want to learn about the topic. Skim the text to get an overview of its structure, looking at the headings, figures, tables, glossary, etc. Predict the contents of the text and pose questions about it. If the authors have provided discussion questions, read the questions and write them on a note-taking sheet. Write down what you would like to find out from the text. In this phase, you may use different strategies when you are working with a whole book or for a chapter or a journal article. If you are pre-reading a whole book, it can be helpful to seek answers to some simple questions. Look at the contents page. Does it seem to contain useful materials? Read the introduction or preface. What is the author's purpose? How is the text structured? Glance at the organization of the chapters. Are summaries included? What do the first and last paragraphs tell you about the chapter? Survey the index. Are there relevant words listed? What topics are given most coverage? If you are pre-reading a chapter or a journal article, you can take these steps. Skim through and examine the headings and subheadings. Look at any illustrations. Read the summary at the end if you find any there. Read the introductory and the concluding paragraphs of the chapter or to the journal article. In a word, in this phase, first, you need to make a judgment about whether or not to proceed to the next stage of reading in more detail. Having gained an overview, you may decide that further reading is not necessary. Second, you begin to activate your prior knowledge and prepare yourself for the acceptance of new information. In a sense, you are preparing the ground for the sowing of new seeds. Then, if you decide that you want to read for more details, you enter the next phase, during reading. In this phase, these strategies and skills might be beneficial. Annotate and mark sections of the text to help you easily recall important or interesting ideas. Check your predictions and find answers to the questions you posed earlier. Use headings and transition words to identify relationships in the text. Create a vocabulary list of other unfamiliar words to define later. Try to infer the meaning of unfamiliar words by identifying their relationship to the main idea. Connect the text to what you already know about the topic. After you have finished your reading, usually you can summarize the text in your own words in an outline or a mind map. Talk to someone about the author's ideas to check your comprehension. Identify and reread important or difficult parts of the text. Make a list of words which you think will be useful. Finally, in order to further clarify the reading strategies, we will introduce the Sq3r method. Sq3r refers to the 5 stages you go through in reading. It stands for survey, question, read, recite, and review. Let's see how we deal with a chapter using the Sq3r method. 1. Survey. Glance over the headings in the chapter and read the final paragraph. Look for a central theme. Try to identify some core ideas. Find words highlighted or italicized by the author. Read the key sentences which are highlighted in any way and read the chapter summary or synopsis if there is one, either at the beginning or at the end of the chapter. 2. Question. Go back to the beginning of the chapter and turn the first heading into a question. This will increase your comprehension. Bring to mind information you already know that can help you to understand the section more quickly. For example, the evolution of numbers theory might become how did number theory evolve, or even describe the evolution of number theory. 3. Read. Look for the materials that can help to clarify and evaluate arguments and assumptions, and answer your own questions. Your reading is an active search for answers. When you have read, or perhaps read for more than once, the section in question, you should be able to formulate an answer to the questions which you have posed earlier. 4. Recite or recall. Look away from your text now and attempt to recall the content of the material. Use your own words. A good way to do this is to write down short key phrases as notes on a piece of paper. These can then form the basis of the notes that you might choose to make at a later stage. 5. Review. Look over all your notes to get a summary of all the points and their relationships with each other. Check that your recall was correct, and check your memory by repeating the main points under each of the headings from the chapter. In short, the Sq3r approach stresses engagement and activity, which are crucial elements in the process of developing understanding. To sum up, in this mini lecture, we have discussed the purposes and the strategies of academic reading. Before reading, an effective reader will usually ask, "What is the purpose of reading?" In accordance with the purposes, we may employ different strategies in different phases, including before reading, during reading, and after reading. Finally, Sq3r is introduced to elaborate how to help readers activate their thinking and review their understanding throughout their reading. Okay, that's all for this mini lecture. Thank you for your watching.